But one of the guys that get a lot of credit is Steve Blackman for Muscular development. I mean, those guys have done an extraordinary job for years and years and years to promote health, to promote fitness, to promote strength, to promote bodybuilding, powerlifting, weightlifting, and all of those kind of things. So the contributions they made is gigantic, and I hail them for that.
Shawn Ray here with Ron Harris and Peter McGough at the conclusion of the 2017 Arnold Classic Men's Open Prejudging. And Peter, like we thought coming into this contest, it looks like it's a two-man competition. Last year's first runner-up, Cedric McMillan, no stranger to being one of the first called out. But did he illuminate the stage that he did last year in the same fashion, or is this a guy that's, like you mentioned earlier, maybe hitting his peak?
Yeah, I think what we saw here was a battle between the old, don't mean to call Cedric old, and the new. Dallas is going to get a lot better. He's a work in progress. Cedric has reached his level. He's not going to build any more muscle at this stage. The big thing for him has always been the contest condition. So for him, he was in Cedric's shape, but he just had too much quality in the end, and his shape and everything. You know, it was a two-man contest, but I think Cedric was pretty clear as the winner. Yeah,
and I was analyzing pose for pose, and each pose that they started to hit, even though Dallas was hanging with the guy up there, the maturity seemed to be favoring Cedric, so the refinement factor seemed to be favoring him a little bit more than Dallas, who, like Peter said, maybe a little bit more of a work in progress.
Yeah, Dallas, I want to say, give this young guy so much credit. He's come so far in such a short span of time. He's put on a ton of muscle, conditioning, glutes are clearly strided. He did everything he could to be the winner here today, but he's 25 years old. Cedric has that maturity. He has a cleaner separation look to his muscles. He has more detail. Dallas is a work in progress. I think a year, 2, 3 years from now, Dallas is going to be a different bodybuilder. This is Cedric's show today for me.
Well, all three of us are in favor of Cedric. Now, should that not happen, what does Dallas have going for him that may catapult him over Cedric? Because we do know that 1/3 of the score is the posing, and clearly, I believe, Cedric is the better poser.
Yeah, I mean, whether the posing will be judged in that manner purely on posing, I don't know. I mean, I think it still has to be a physique contest. But anyway, I think that, I mean, Dallas has grown a lot. Maybe he's grown a little bit too much for this contest. If it had been a bit more streamlined, he might have been even tighter. You know, he was pretty dry. But, you know, I think Cedric will see it through to the end now, yeah.
So where does that leave us with the other guys on the field? We got a nice lineup. Lionel Bayecki was one of the guys we were talking about earlier coming out of Italy. Did he deliver today?
Lionel, I was very impressed with him. You know, as usual, everyone was disappointed. He turns around. His glutes are soft, ham's not that sharp either. From the front, crisp, clear, looked great from the front, and he still has that round, bubbly look. It reminds me so much of Flex Wheeler from years ago. I have him in a very solid third place. I don't see Juan Morel, Max Charles coming anywhere near him, to be honest with you, even though they might have him a little bit on the condition from the rear. Overall, he's just a hell of a physique.
Well, speaking of Juan Morel and Max Charles, Juan, to me, was clearly off. As a matter of fact, when he turned around to the rear, I thought he was fat.
Yeah. I mean, we expected him to come in better than that, I think, given the time he's had to prepare. He looked too light. He didn't look to gain anything, and the legs, if anything, looked even more, you know, down than normal. So he didn't come out and wow us at all. And you know, Max was. He seemed to come down in size a little bit, but he was pretty hard and maybe improved. I was surprised that in that top 5 call-out, Lockett wasn't in there, because he was the hardest and driest in the show, and I would have thought he would have been in that call-out.
Well, Lockett was one of the most conditioned. He also looked like he was about a 212-pound bodybuilder up there. Had detail where others didn't, but he didn't have the fullness and the roundness of the guys that were bigger. So what does that say? I mean, what would Michael Lockett have to do? He comes in sliced and diced. Is it a structural thing for Michael Lockett?
You know, I don't know. I've seen him so much better, so much bigger and fuller. He looked flatter, smaller, and same thing for Max. This is condition-wise maybe the best I've seen Max Charles, but he gave up a lot of his trademark thickness and fullness to get there. And you're standing next to these guys like Cedric and Dallas. That's a rough spot to be in. But you know, those guys, they gave it their best. It's just, this is a two-man show today. Maybe a three-man show if you want to put Lionel in as a clear third.
Well, let's go back to someone like Juan Morel. This is a guy that took some time off. He did a lot of stuff really fast, shut it down, showed up in the condition that he's in, and nothing really happened. So what does he do? Does he stay on the diet and go on to maybe go to Australia or go on to New York, or does he got some structural things he's dealing with?
Well, I mean, he's been a pro for quite some time now, I think 5 or 6 years. And overall, since he turned pro, he has tended to move upwards. Last year was a bit of an aberration, and he shut it all down. So I was disappointed that he came in the way he did. So I think he's got to reevaluate how he prepared for this show. Was it a diet thing that he came in depleted and lost all his thighs and a lot of the sweep? So really, he's got to put it together pretty quickly. I mean, if it's just pure depletion that caused it, he can sort that out pretty quickly with diet.
So do you think it was a mistake that Fouad Abiad actually continued on with his contest prep, even though he had injured the leg, because he really did not deliver today?
I don't think it was a mistake. I mean, to me, he was like 90% of his best, and if I was getting ready for a show like this and put all that time and effort into it, I believe the injury only happened 2 weeks ago. I wouldn't have pulled out either, but if I could have kept on. All things considered, I don't think he looked that bad. Conditioning was pretty good. He looked pretty big. I would have had him in that first call out too.
Wow. And one of the noticeable things for me with Fouad was the stomach, the lack of stomach control. There was a lot of bloat going on in between poses, which is a rookie mistake. But at the same time, it also indicated to me that he was a long ways off of being in the condition we're used to seeing him. We had a couple other guys that were actually on the stage taking up a little bit of space. Will Harris, Father Time, defeated him as soon as he stepped on the stage. There's not a whole lot more you can say about that. This contest is just too big for a guy like Will Harris. Maybe it's his age. And Luke Sanau, he's just not ready for prime time. Fatili Fatigue, not yet. Do you see some potential?
Luke, I see if he brings up a couple areas, hamstrings, arms. He looks like to be a fairly young guy. I'm not sure how old he is, but yeah, definitely potential. Same thing with Vitaly. Looks like a young guy, work in progress. Needs more size. You know, this is not a show for people like that to be competitive in.
Right. Well,
he got his feet wet and he got to be up there.
Yeah, well, it's been very few Arnold Classic championships where we didn't have a little bit more of a dogfight. But tonight, is there anything that could tip the tide into Dallas's favor? We only have a few short hours before we're right back here in this arena. We could be sitting here talking about, wow, Dallas won. Is it possible?
I think he's got to come in really ripped, and I don't think there's enough time to do that. But what do I know about modern-day bodybuilding?
Exactly, and how about you?
You know, he's got Chad Nichols working with him. I've seen Chad over the years work some pretty magical things with Ronnie from judging to finals. So it's not out of possibility that he could come in a lot sharper and drier tonight.
Well, we're here to bring you all the latest results, and we'll be back here in a few short hours to find out what that looks like. Right now, they're judging the men's physique as well as the women's bikini. So we'll have those final results for all of you guys right here from Columbus, Ohio. Ron, Peter McGough, I'm Shawn Ray, MuscularDevelopment.com.